Yeah, all good, all good. Good morning. Just gone for a nice, really early morning here. Peaceful walk. It's really early in the morning. It's a nice, fresh spring early morning, and yeah, I was just going for a walk and doing a bit of reflecting on, why dressing room energy matters in football. Really, really important. And managers and coaches can focus on tactics, on talent, bringing talented players in, you know, physical training, the psychology of the game, and every component of the game. But I think one of the big things for me, the X factor, is the energy, the dressing room energy for me. What I mean by that, how I would define it, is that sort of emotional atmosphere you get in a dressing room. Some of the sort of factors for me are, the players connected, are they together or are they divided? They all sort of connected together, and always the divisions in the dressing room. Are they focused or distracted? Sometimes you see in warm-ups, there's nothing more frustrating than, when you see plays in a warm-up sort of before a game, not sort of focusing on the game, not focusing on what they need to do the game. They sort of could, go off on a tangent in their conversations. They might talk about, going out. They might talk about, whatever they've watched on TV type thing. And I think there's got to be a cut-off point where you really start focusing on the game, what you got to do in the game. Particularly in that sort of warm-up for me. That's another story for another day. But sometimes you can sort of see if they're not completely focused. Are they distracted? Are they confident, or are they afraid of going into the game type thing? So that sort of energy. And for me, it only takes a couple of plays, one or two plays, for that negativity to spread through the dressing room and have a big impact on the performance levels. Are they committed, or are they just turning up to the game and sort of going through the motions type thing? It's really important to have that team energy, because sometimes you see teams of lesser ability, you see teams that don't have as many talented players, but they win the game just on the energy alone that they bring to the game. That poor energy for me, it leads to sort of poor and underperformance. It sort of brings about that sort of frustration, and you sort of see it, for example, when you sort of, the start of the game, a player might miss a pass, and you get other players kind of having to go at that player, and that frustration. You concede an early goal, and the heads go down, and the players get blaming each other, and that sort of division type thing. And I think for me, it's not just what you see, the energy on the pitch. It sort of starts, behind closed doors, that honesty, that respect, that, all the sort of important things that sort of galvanize a team, that sort of camaraderie. I think it's really important to have that, and to build that. You go into games to prepare best you can. I think for me, a lot of games, I would say, are won and lost even before you go onto the pitch. Throughout the week, that energy and attitude that the players bring to the dressing room is really important. But that's my take on it. You might see it differently. That's sort of the way I see it. Always interested to see what your take is on it. But I really do think that that energy is that sort of component sometimes that gets overlooked in sort of the important factor in sort of going into games and winning games.